Do you know what tradition needs to make a comeback? Christmas ghost stories. At one point, Christmas was synonymous with ghost stories. Even the song "It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year" has the lyrics, "There'll be scary ghost stories." Fun fact, the book The Turn of the Screw by Henry James, you know, that book that was based on The Haunting of Bly Manor, is a Christmas ghost story, meaning it was a ghost story told on Christmas Eve in the book. And one of the most popular and famous Christmas stories of our time is a ghost story. Which one am I talking about? A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. You have a man who's not nice, he's stingy, he hates Christmas. Then he gets a visit from his deceased business partner, Jacob Marley, who tells him that he will be visited by three spirits: the ghost of Christmas past, ghost of Christmas present, and ghost of Christmas future. This stingy man who hates Christmas, Ebenezer Scrooge, is shown the error of his ways, and the next morning he is a changed man. We love this story. Generations have loved the story for well over a century. But A Christmas Carol is not an original idea. In fact, Charles Dickens ripped off the idea. Since A Christmas Carol went viral, so to speak, and it took off, the story that inspired it has almost been completely forgotten. Until now. Hello, my spookies, and thanks for coming back to my channel. Or welcome to my channel if this is your first time watching. My name is Alex, and if you love spooky stuff no matter what time of year it is, then this is the channel for you. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and turn on the notifications so you'll be the first to know when I upload a new video. Also, you can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter at The Spooky Stuff. I post daily paranormal content all over these social media channels. And if you want more spooky stories and other ghost hunting tips and resources, then be sure to check out my website at thespookystuff.com. All right, let's get started. First, let's talk about Christmas back then, during the Victorian era, and beyond. It's important to know that Christmas wasn't always seen as a family-friendly holiday. The Christmas back then is way different from Christmas today. For centuries, it was believed that wintertime was the time to tell sad and scary tales. The nights were longer, days were shorter, it was cold, people weren't going outside, so they were inside more. And people worked during Christmas. Not to mention, spiritualism was also at its peak popularity during the Victorian era. And back in England, the Puritans were trying to cancel Christmas because people engaged in debauchery and scandalous activities during the holidays. You could say that Dickens changed all of that for the better. And he really solidified the tradition of Christmas ghost stories during the Victorian era. We can also blame Dickens for the commercialized Christmas we have today, too. In 1854, Charles Dickens even called Christmas Eve the witching time for storytelling. But was his iconic idea for A Christmas Carol original? Historians might disagree. So let's talk about the story of the Goblins who stole a Sexton. And this was written in 1836. This story is considered to be the inspiration behind A Christmas Carol. Once upon a time, there was a gravedigger named Gabriel Grubb who hated Christmas. Sound familiar? One night, Gabriel is on his way to dig a grave on Christmas Eve, and he even beats up a little boy on the way. While digging the grave, he is approached by the king of the goblins, who accuses him of being spiteful and mean. I mean, he beat up a child on the way to work. Duh. So, Gabriel Grubb gets kidnapped by a band of goblins. He is taken to this secret underground cave, and he gets kicked mercilessly. So all these goblins are just kicking him and kicking him and kicking the crap out of him. And then Gabriel goes on trial. I promise the similarity is there. So the goblins then show him his fellow humans and the life he could have if he was good and exalted good cheer. And he is also shown that little boy he beat up, and he is shown that that little boy's family died. So Gabriel is shown all of these different scenes about his fellow humans, the little boy, and how much better his life could be. Being shown visions. Also a little boy in need. And Gabriel is released the next morning, and Gabriel is a changed man. He doesn't hate people, he loves Christmas, and he just has so much optimism and hope for the future. A completely changed man. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? So then Gabriel leaves the area for 10 years. When he returns, he's poor, but he's really happy. And then he tells everybody the tale of what happened to him all those years ago. Okay, so who wrote this story? Charles Dickens. That's right, Charles Dickens wrote the story of the goblins who stole a sexton. So he took what he already had and he made it better. Here's another ghost story that came after A Christmas Carol. It is called The Chimes, and it came out in 1844. Now, instead of Christmas, this one takes place during New Year's Eve. And this is another story where the main character believes the worst in mankind. This time, the man's name is Trotty. Now, this one's a little sadder. So Trotty is a working class man who believes he is worthless and thinks that working class people are wicked by nature. Bah humbug. One night, he feels like the bells from a church tower are calling to him. He climbs to the top of the bell tower and sees the spirit of each bell with their goblin attendant. And they explain, the Chimes explain that he has died. They chastise Trotty for only believing the worst in people. And because Trotty convinced his daughter and these other people that they're worthless, they carry that with them. It's not a pleasant sight, and I highly recommend reading the story because I don't want to spoil everything for you. Now, he is shown like his daughter and her life. She has a kid. Her life is pretty miserable, and she's about to end her own life. And Trotty thinks this is just a vision, but then he realizes he can touch her and stop her from ending her life. And then Trotty wakes up in his home on New Year's Day like he was dreaming. Again, sound familiar? So Trotty then starts believing that no one is born wicked, but their circumstances cause them to be wicked. So the story ends with his daughter getting married and looking forward to a happier future. So, a man is shown the error of his ways by spirits and goblins, and he wakes up the next morning a changed man. So who wrote this one? If you said Charles Dickens, you're right. So Charles Dickens wrote 3 very similar ghost stories. One came before A Christmas Carol, and one came after A Christmas Carol. So here's one more Christmas ghost story. This one is called The Haunted Man and the Ghost's Bargain. And this one came out in 1848. And I'll be honest, this story kind of hit me in the feelings. We all have traumas and past hurts that have shaped us into the person we are today. In this story, we have a man named Professor Redlaw. He has done a lot of wrong in his life, and it has made him unhappy. Redlaw is also haunted by a ghost that looks exactly like him. Doppelgangers? The ghost tells him that he can erase Redlaw's painful memories. And Redlaw is hesitant at first, but he accepts. So his painful memories are erased, and while things seem okay at first, Redlaw becomes really angry and he doesn't know why. And this spreads to the people around him. So the moral of the story is we all have painful memories so that we can grow from them. And in the end, Redlaw gets his memories back, forgives himself, and becomes a happier person. And again, this story is written by Charles Dickens. And of course, another Christmas ghost story. So why did the tradition of Christmas ghost stories stop? After Dickens stopped writing them, others tried to step in and fill in the void. It didn't quite take off again. And while it seemed to stick as late as 1915, it eventually faded out. Then, when Irish and Scottish immigrants came to America, they brought about a new spooky tradition, Halloween. This ended up catching on back across the pond to the United Kingdom and the rest of Europe. So, did Halloween kill this Christmas tradition? That's a story for another time. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the notifications. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time at the Paranormal Table.